I know. Everyone wants to talk about the snow that's coming in for the 15th and the 16th. Here's why I can't tell you as much as you want right now.
This has been the model variation within just the past day and a half. Now, I realize this doesn't look like much, but it is. And these are the changes that we're seeing once again just within the past day and a half of the GFS. So for the Euro model, within the past day and a half, it's been very bullish, possibly calling for 2 feet of snow in some northern locations, maybe 6 inches to a foot along coastal locations. But it has also said this. It has also said to tell almost everyone, unless you're in the whites of New Hampshire, to prepare for about 6 inches. The coast will be very minimal, next to nothing. These are two hugely different situations. And the GFS has done it too. So here's the GFS that says, yes, also 2 feet of snow for the whites, 2 feet of snow through the spine of the greens here, through northern locations, 6 inches along the coast. But same runs within a day and a half apart, we're talking only a foot. We're talking half of the amounts through Vermont, through the whites, and a couple inches along coastal areas. So if you were like, tell me now, I need to know what it would be. My forecast would be for if you are in the southern zones, which we're going to go ahead and say like the bottom 3 counties of New Hampshire, southernmost of Vermont, and anything south of there, prepare for 1 to 12 inches of snow. And if you are north of there, prepare for 6 inches to 2 feet. We know there's going to be somewhere between 1 inch and 1.5 inches of liquid equivalent there, so that's fine. We know the further north locations are going to be drier and have better snow ratios. And so just looking at the math at that makes this pretty complicated. There's some cool side-by-side comparisons I can do here. So this is the Euro and this is the GFS model. And I just want you to go through and see what we're looking at here and how there are some differences in storm structure, how we've got some lulls in here where we've got some heavier precip. Also looking at start times, Euro is a lot more bullish on this actually starting earlier than the GFS is. GFS having some dry areas here through central locations. Euro also showing this lasting longer. And if we look at how this affects our forecasted snow totals, we're definitely seeing more in northern locations in the Euro model, but the GFS has got some very interesting and not minor holes in it. Also, Euro model showing the stripe going through more like central Maine, where we're seeing it here in the GFS model be much further north. We need to be within 48 hours in order to have HRRR data. I need to be within 72 hours to look at the graph model. All that I'm getting in the graph model right now is kind of what's happening at the very beginning of the storm, and that's at the very end runs of these models. Parts of the discussion from the Gray Maine office that I think are spot on super accurate. Guidance continues to increase confidence in a potentially impactful winter storm over the upcoming weekend. Generally, we're starting to see totals creep up as we're getting closer to the event, but don't forget that we've also seen some really low ones within just the past 36 hours. We're also not only dealing with one area of low pressure, but this is going to be a complex system where you're actually going to have a secondary low pressure form as well, as if the dynamics of one aren't hard enough. 1 to 1.5 inches of liquid, temperature profiles cold enough to be snow, potentially starting as early as Saturday afternoon across New Hampshire before spreading to the northeast. The Euro model is the one that's a little bit earlier on that timing. Typically, it's pretty good at that stuff. I really want the low resolution models, though, to be able to have a chance to speak up on that. We know there's going to be periods of warm air moving up above, which is going to melt those snowflakes and cause sleet and freezing rain to fall, which drastically reduces the amount of snowfall that you see. It doesn't take much. You need like 1/10 of an inch or 1/4 inch of ice to come down, and you're removing several inches of snow just from that thin layer. But then it's going to switch back to snow. When is it going to do that? The last paragraph in this discussion is great. Significant snowfall and potentially significant mixed precipitation are on the table, absolutely. But it's too early to determine the amounts or the dominant precipitation types, especially when we're looking at southern zones and coastal zones where it's definitely going to be more prevalent. Where's the gradient going to set up and where's that going to finally stop? However, if it does end up being more in the way of freezing rain, this is important to note. Trees and power lines will be susceptible as it looks very breezy on Monday with temperatures likely staying below freezing, and it is. So we're going to see temperatures really pick up on Friday. They're going to die down a little bit on Saturday. When the storm's happening, they're going to be okay, and after this storm moves out, it's really going to pick up again. So if we go with the timing for the Euro right now, we're starting to see, that snow starting to move its way in here later on Saturday. It will snow overnight Saturday into Saturday morning. This is a little bit after midnight, early morning hours. Now here's where that band of mixed precipitation starts to come in, and wait until you see how far some of these models, the Euro thinks this is going to be lifting to the north. I'll move this way so if you're in the rest of Maine, you can actually see this here. Where that sets up, how much snow you're going to get, how much that takes away, where our our secondary low starts forming, how this moves on out of here, how much snow we get on the backside of this. Whew.
This is dynamic. So all we can really say at this point out, here we are on Thursday. It's like lunchtime on Thursday, the 13th. As this storm comes in on Saturday, we're going to start to see snow on the front side of it. It's going to start moving in later on Saturday. The further east you are, the later it'll be. The further west you are, the earlier it's going to be. We know there's going to be snow. We know there's going to be changing over to mixed precipitation. If you're anywhere other than extreme northern locations, everything should be wrapping up by the end of Sunday or early Monday. And the winds are really going to pick up on Monday. If you got any ice, it's something you're going to really want to be worried about. So I will give you more details as soon as I can. Pinky swear.